Let's improve your vocabulary and conversation skills today by learning just a couple of key verbs and expressions. So today we're going to talk about some words we use to talk about going out or outside, for example, to a restaurant, and some words we use to talk about being inside at home and doing activities at home. So let me look at the first one. Go out and stay in. So you'll notice go out is in this column that says outside, and there's a picture of a restaurant. When we go out, that means that we leave our home, usually to do something fun. There's some other meanings of go out, but today we're just going to focus on this idea or this meaning to leave the home for fun. So let's look at some examples. I can say, I want to go out tonight. Let's go out. This means I do not want to be at home. I want to be outside of the home, maybe at a bar or a restaurant. The past tense of go out is went out. Last night, I went out. So you might hear this in a conversation. Someone might say, what did you do last night? Oh, last night, I went out. I went out to a restaurant. I went out with my friends. So go out and went out means to leave the house to do something fun. So what's the opposite of this? Well, we can use the word stay in. Stay in means that you stay at home. So here's a picture of a house. If I say stay in, it's a phrasal verb and it means to stay at my house. So I love staying in. This means I love being at my house. I love to stay at home. So let's look at some examples. I can say, I want to stay in tonight. This means I want to stay at home. What did you do yesterday? Oh, yesterday I stayed in. I stayed in last night. So this is the past tense, and it just means you stayed at home. So, do you prefer to go out or stay in? You can write in the comments below what you prefer to do. Go out on a Friday night or stay in on a Friday night. What's better in your opinion? Well, let's look at some more examples of different words that have to do with the same idea. We also can talk about restaurants. I have here the verb eat out, and the verb here, eat in. So what's the difference between eat out and eat in? Well, when we eat out, there's a picture of the restaurant. We eat at a restaurant. So for example, I don't want to cook. I don't want to cook tonight. Let's eat out. This means let's eat at a restaurant. Do you like to eat out? This means do you like to eat at a restaurant? So if you have the word out here, eat out, we're talking about going to a restaurant. This is opposite to eat in. So we have eat in. When we say eat in, we mean eat at home. Some people think it's cheaper to eat in. Some friends of mine will say, I don't want to go to a restaurant. I want to eat in. It's cheap. I like to cook. So eat in means to eat at a house, to eat at your home. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to eat out or eat in. I like eating out. I'm a terrible cook, so I like to eat out. I like to eat at restaurants. All right, so we've looked at different words, and you might have already noticed the pattern. We often use out with a word to mean go to a restaurant or go outside somewhere. We often use in with certain words to mean stay home. So let's look at some more of these. We can talk about a night out or a night in. A night out means to go outside of your home to do something for entertainment. It might be to go to a restaurant, a movie, the theater, a bar. If you have a night out, it means you're going outside of your home to do something fun. So I can say, let's have a night out. On Friday, let's have a night out. Let's do something outside. Or I might ask somebody, how was your night out? And this means, how was your night going outside of your home to do something fun? Now, the opposite is a night in. So this means to stay at home at night and do something at home. So for example, I can say, let's have a night in. This means I want to stay at home. I want to watch Netflix. Let's have a night in. Or maybe I was tired, so I had a night in. When I was younger, on New Year's Eve, I loved having nights out. So on New Year's Eve, I always had a night out. Now that I'm getting a bit older, I often spend New Year's Eve by having a night in. Let's look at some more examples of words with in and out that have a similar meaning. We have here dine out and dine in. So dine might be a new word for you, but if you think about dinner actually has the word dine in it. So dine out means to go to a restaurant for food, and dine in means to eat food at home. So they're like some of the other examples I gave you before. So let's look at some ways to use this in a sentence. We can say, we enjoy dining out. This means I prefer going to a restaurant. Or, let's dine in. I prefer dining in. This means I like to eat dinner at home. So we use dine out or dine in to talk about eating food inside a restaurant or at home. What do you prefer? Do you prefer dining in or dining out? Now, one thing I just wanted to mention is you might actually see this, a dine-in restaurant, and you might be confused. Wait, dine in, doesn't that mean at home, like dine in? It does, but some restaurants, it's not so common, but some restaurants will also use the word dine in to talk about the difference in a restaurant between takeout or to eat in a restaurant. So you might see somebody say, oh, it's a nice dine-in restaurant. This means that at the restaurant you eat inside. In general, though, for the majority of examples, majority of situations, dine in means to eat at home, and dine out means to eat at a restaurant. So we've talked a lot about the words in and out, and how in has to do with being at home, out has to do with eating at a restaurant. So you've seen a lot of examples of that. Now I'm going to talk about something different. I'm going to talk about two words that are very important for you to know. So don't worry about the word out here. We're going to now talk about take out or take away. These are two very important and common terms we use in English. We use take out or take away when we go to a restaurant We get food from the restaurant, but we do not eat at the restaurant. We leave the restaurant and eat the food somewhere else. So for example, when I go to work, maybe instead of bringing a lunch, I go to the restaurant, get takeout, bring the takeout to my work. Or maybe I order a pizza for takeout. I go to the pizza restaurant, pick up the pizza for takeout, and I take it to my home. So what takeaway and takeout means is it means when you order food from a restaurant, but you eat the food somewhere else. That might be at your house, that might be in the park, that might be at work, that might be at the mall. So you might wonder, well, takeaway, takeout, they have the same meaning. Do we use them in the same way? You use them in the same way. Takeout usually is used more often in North America. So in the USA and Canada, you'll hear people say takeout more, but you can also say takeaway. Takeaway is more often used in England. So you might hear, in terms of British English, takeaway. But you can use either. They have the same meaning. So we've covered a lot of words today that have to do with eating at home or eating at a restaurant or getting food from the restaurant and eating it somewhere else. We went through a lot of words. What I recommend you do is take our quiz to practice these words. Remember, the best way to learn new things is to test yourself. So you can practice these words, take our quiz at www.ingvid.com, and try to use these words in conversation. Like I said, they are very common words we use daily. Please subscribe to my channel where you can find a lot more videos on different topics related to vocabulary, writing, phrasal verbs, grammar, and so much more. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care.